Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Slyfox, and today I have the honor to give everybody of you some new informations. Who probably don't know me, I'm Slyfox. I'm a German streamer and played a lot of Warlord in my past day, and still playing and love the game. And looking forward to getting some informations and getting into a good interview with the following people. The next person right next to me is Woodrow. Woodrow, how are you doing? And please introduce yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Sebastian, the Lord of Barrackston, which will be relevant here in a bit. No, thank you for the introduction or passing it off. I'm Woodrow, and I'm one half of Kingswood Games. I'm the Wood half, and we are publishing Warlord. License it from AEG. Continue to license it, and I'm excited because honestly, it's been a while since we've done any interviews, and so I'm really excited for this. It's good to get, I know we've been doing some articles from time to time, some socials posts, and then we chat with people in person at shows, but it will be nice to get some more video interviews out there for people to see.
Thank you, Woodrow. And the next one,
Yep.
the other half of Kingswood, is Josh. How you doing, buddy? Please introduce yourself.
I'm doing all right. Yep, I am Josh King, the King in Kingswood. I'm doing great. I'm excited to chat, to talk, to. I have no idea how much of this you can see, but GenCon's coming up, so it's a mess in here. Excited to talk about all that.
Thank you, Josh. And the last but not least person is my fellow content creator, the person you all know probably, is Chris. Chris, how are you doing? Please introduce yourself.
Of your audience would know me, but I am Chris Vack, aka Nirvanatool. I have played Warlord for about as long as Seb. Been streaming since COVID, so that's right. Before this game was republished and relaunched, there were people actually watching us play Warlord on the internet, and been doing that for a while. It's been a lot of fun, and thank you, Seb, for inviting me on to add a little bit more American spice to the interview side. Can't trust you Europeans.
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
Gotta bring the class that only Jersey can bring.
Oh, indeed.
What was it? Somebody said the other day that Josh and I have the personalities of a ham sandwich, so we need you. We need the spice, the condiment here.
Oh, I got a few guesses on who said that.
Awesome. So, looking back at the journey so far, how does it feel from your perspective?
This was aimed at Josh, or
yeah, you both.
both
you
of us.
both.
How does it feel, the journey as a whole, looking back at it? It's well, let's see. It's different than we expected. We've shared multiple times that getting the license and the ability to bring Warlord back was, a dream come true. It was a tough conversation. It was a tough just thing to do. The company that we got it from, AEG, it was a very precious IP to them. They were kind of loath to let it back out in the wild again, but they did. We finally kind of convinced them that we were good people, good stewards of it, and so they agreed. And yeah, then we moved to Kickstarter. Then we moved to this holding pattern of over a year of delays and issues with our factory and just all kinds of issues, which I think would kill a lot of games and a lot of new publishers. But we have kept our company really, really lean and just made some good moves in the midst of all the bad things, as well as we made bad moves as well. But we were able to sort of weather the storm, and the community was, really, I joke about somebody calling us ham sandwiches or something, but overall, like, the community's been really supportive, past, present, future. We've been really, I think the thing that sticks out for Josh and we talked about this on a call this past week. We're just really grateful to see all the people playing, and we kind of can see that in a way that I know a lot of isolated individuals throughout the world can't see. They're like, okay, we have us and our like 3 or 4 or 5 friends locally, but Josh and I are able to see from a bird's eye view, like, especially through sales data, but also like we're just able to see more that Warlord is selling and being played, and organized plays happening, and there are some play groups out there in the double digits, which is pretty exciting, and it's moving and it's on the rise, and I think it'll just continue to happen as we continue to rise, rather, as we move along. I think it will have some staying power, where we've seen some other games recently kind of come and be a flash in the pan. And part of that staying power is our commitment that, yeah, we love this game and we're going to make it work.
Is there anything in particular that you would say has gone super well? I know you kind of just listed off, like, how things have kind of tapered off after those delays and everything. So we got a lot of people
Yep.
playing. Like, obviously that's going. But is there anything else that really sticks out to you as that you would say, like, this has gone well and it's gone well from the start? And on the flip side, what has been the biggest challenge, and maybe even might still be the biggest challenge?
I have two things I can speak to that really easily. The orders through distribution, for smaller indie games, people don't have a good time with distribution. We've talked to a lot of other smaller games, and they don't. It usually doesn't go well, and the experience with, like, even we've talked with Team Covenant. They work with a lot of other indie publishers, and even like, yeah, your experience doesn't sound like what we have seen with distribution a lot of times. In that, because of delays, we actually had a lot more orders than we would have had. It wasn't that people were canceling orders; people were placing more and more pre-orders. So we sold a lot more through distribution than we initially anticipated, which was just fantastic. That's been really good to see and hear. So there are stores we don't even really know about all over the country that have Warlord, because the ones that bought it more directly, we've had a lot more communication with, like if they bought it through the Kickstarter or they're buying it through Fulfilled or something like that. So those ones we can see, but the ones that maybe haven't signed up for organized play and that are still running stuff, or that are like still signing up for organized play, we're finding out, bought stuff through distribution all the time, which is just fantastic. And then the other thing that has gone very well, I think, from the get go, has been organized play stuff. People have been very excited about organized play. I would say even we did a launch event. Nobody beat it at the launch event. I wouldn't say that's a bad thing. I would say that's almost great, because then everyone's that more excited and incentivized to try and figure out how to beat it, and that's been done many times throughout the world at this point. So that's a lot of fun. And then Dragon Lore challenges started off this past week. I have no idea when this VOD is coming up, but people are doing more this next week. So like, I think you're doing some maybe this coming weekend, Chris. So
Memphis
it's been
Comics,
going
Bayonne, New
great.
Jersey.
Yep.
Shout out.
So
That's
that's
been a
been going
blast.
great. Yeah, that's been a big blast. I did me and my local Dragon Lord runner did 25 challenges or something this past week,
Ooh.
and Woodrow and his local did 50 almost. So it was a good time, and then lots of people all over the country and worlds taking Dragon Lord challenges over the next few months. So that's been really great. So organized play and just how distribution has gone have both been better than we could have hoped for, I think.
Great. Nice to see and hear what's running good and where were your biggest challenge. But where's your biggest focus at the moment? What is your big point at the moment where you focus it?
Getting everything over the finish line is what I would say for all of our stuff. We're in the middle of, is that 2, 3 um alliance decks, PvE stuff, at 4, all in like various stages of production.
Mhm.
On top of just all of our day-to-day things to make the company run. So making sure that those are all continuing to hit
Sounds like an
timelines.
awful organization. Not the bad organization, but a lot to organization.
Yeah.
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 It's
Yeah,
really not
for a
one.
small team.
It's really not one. Yeah, it doesn't really come down to one focus. It's like there's so many things that you have to do as a CCG, which I know John Zinzer from AEG
Yeah.
always says that a CCG is a young person's business or a young person's thing, because, and from being a company, he means for it. Like when people would pitch doing a TCG, they're like, "Hey, TCGs are on the rise. Let's do it again." to Alderac, the staff, the board there would just shut everybody down. And they're like, why? They're like, because you don't understand how much energy it takes and how much stuff there is. To add to Josh, what he said is there's, all kinds of events going on, more organized play. You have to do that every set. And I use words like have to. Obviously, it's a privilege and a joy and all that, but it also is work. At the end of the day, it's a lot of work. And yeah, there's a lot going on. We have a very small staff. We have a lot of like various types of freelancers and volunteers and different groups and advisory groups and stuff that we work with. But yeah, it is a lot of work, Seb. You caught that very well. It's a lot going on, but it's good. And the nice thing is we are growing. We see it in our teams, in our organizational skills, in our use of project management, in our we get closer to hitting deadlines like as we move. And I think we're getting to a point where we will catch up and start getting ahead, which is what we've always said one of our main goals is to be caught up and even ahead to where the things that we're actively working on now are, for the future. Maybe we're working on things that will be released a year out. That way we have some breathing room. That way we're able to better communicate and, present, do like simultaneous worldwide releases and those kind of things. And yeah, just we're working to get ahead. But the initial kind of speed bump is what has caused us to, continue to, we're still like digging out is kind of how you can think about it.
I'd love to, before we walk away from that, I'd love to ask if we can get a little bit of more detail on the PvE part. That part sounded very exciting to me, and I'm curious, just concept-wise, where you guys are at with that.
You're not alone. So concept-wise, and I think I've mentioned this elsewhere, and that's fine. We'll continue to say because I'm excited about it. PvE is at-home experience. So obviously you can go to the local game store, you can do well in your event, and you can challenge the Overlord, or you can go to a Dragon Lord charity event or whatever kind of Dragon Lord event and get some boss battles. But maybe you don't want to do that. Maybe you just want to be able to pull Warlord out and sort of treat it like a board game at home, or just have something to kill some time with and play with friends. And that's where the PvE stuff comes from, or comes into play. It'll be a box, and in that box will be a deck of cards, and it will be like an Overlord. Think like Diabolus or something like that. And one player can run it against multiple other decks. So it'll be kind of like a raid or a like multiplayer boss battle. And you can run it that way where it's controlled. So it's player controlled. So Chris sits down with his friends, 3 friends, and they do this. Or you can flip all the cards over and it is autopiloted. And then maybe it's just you and a friend, or you and a spouse or something like that, or you and a couple of friends. You can just play against the deck, and it takes automated actions and see if you can beat it. And it's just a different way to experience Warlord. We've said before that we think modularity is one of the attractive things about like a card game, because you can draft, you can do constructed, multiple formats, and for us this is just another way to use the same cards, and we think that adds a lot of value to a product when you can use it different ways, and it's just more fun for more people. And we think that Warlord is uniquely suited mechanically and thematically for that type of thing, because it has that like Dungeons and Dragons tabletop role-playing game feel, where it's like, yeah, of course we sit down and this kind of feels like we just played a game of Dungeons and Dragons, except we didn't, take 30-minute turns where we're describing what we're doing. We're just kind of like sitting down, rolling some dice, and fighting this big boss in 15 minutes, and it's destroying us.
So
or
you got a
we,
time
kind of
limit.
get there. Yeah.
Oh.
Well, you don't have to have a time limit. Maybe we'll do a time limit. Probably not though. There are certain people that you wouldn't want to go into something with a time limit with, and that also puts pressure on casual players or new players or a board game group if they're just learning the game. I don't think we'd put a timer on it, but yeah, that's the PvE idea, and I think that adds a lot of value. And I think the industry, the TCGs are really big right now, but a lot of the focus is on like opening a cool thing. All the social media has turned into, it used to be like play, people would watch people play, but now it's like opening packs, and that's kind of like, the human excitement and human experience of opening a cool pack. But we think there's still people out there that, our theory is that people there are some people that like to play games, and they're kind of becoming refugees now because the industry is moving away from that, and we want to keep supporting those people that we believe exist.
Interesting.
Definitely. And would you say either one of these, either the PvE or any of the other ones you mentioned, are they the next milestone for the game? Is there any one that you would say like this is the one that we have to eclipse next, or is it
PvE
something
is
else?
further out.
PvE is further out, and I would say it's like, as far as what is the next big thing or the next thing we really want to push, I think that's Alliance and Alliance decks. The first Alliance deck product is very far into being done, so I would expect to see that out around the same time as set 2. If
Maybe a
not
little
just
before.
little bit, yeah, maybe a little bit before, maybe a little bit after, depending on how it all shakes out. But
Mhm.
the PvP will be a little further down the road.
Finish it at
Yep.
the same time and save on shipping. Come on now.
It may not
Yeah,
work
well,
that
it
way, maybe.
depends. It depends. Yeah, I mean, if I fill a container with set 2, then it doesn't really matter, right?
That's true, as long as it's full. It
Yeah.
arrives.
The cool thing about the Alliance decks too is that we're adding, and we can get to other topics, but we're adding Ancients to the SCGCon tour, which we haven't even formally announced yet,
Ooh.
but that'll be coming up in socials and maybe press releases and stuff. But Ancients is there, and there's not a great way to buy a lot of those cards. So the cool thing about Alliance is it serves as two things. One, it's a way to get into Alliance if you want that. But also there's going to be tons of Ancient staples in those decks where if you want to get into Ancients, you buy a couple copies of those decks and fill out your play sets or get your play sets that way. And then you can just sort of buy into an Ancients deck or buy into a lot of it and then, just season from there. And so it'll enable that as well. It's one of those, we're always trying to solve, multiple things when we can with a single product. So
we're getting some reprints.
you can absolutely a lot of reprints. Yeah.
Where
Yeah,
can we
a
submit
lot.
our wish list?
I think we have the wish list.
Wherever
It's
you
called
wanna
the
do
entire
this.
Warlord card pool, and we're trying our best
Yeah,
to
pretty
get
much.
to as much of it as we can. And
We're gonna
and we're
put
also
a
doing. Go ahead.
painting death. Oh, just painting death, and all kinds of good stuff that's super useful in Alliance. Uh,
Those weird promos make if they're not mechanically that interesting, we're not going out of the way to. Those are collector items, whatever.
painting
But
death is specifically useless in Alliance. Yeah.
I'd be happy to make a donation in the name of House Tithanis. Just so you let me know what we got to do.
So the one thing though is that we are trying to do is in 4th edition, of course, Phoenix Interactive had reused artwork and like sort of crop zoom flipped it, and we are continuing to try and do the thing that we did a bit in well, we didn't do that in Box of Greed, never mind. Where have we done new artworks for Phoenix cards? Did we do it in Into the Accordance maybe
Final
not,
Blessing.
maybe. Oh yeah,
Final
Final
Blessing
Blessing, but
was
that
an accident.
wasn't. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
But
that was an Epic Edition card. I forgot. Yeah.
I guess
No,
not.
I think
It is just the Alliance decks that we did it in, but we've started intentionally going through and finding cards where that was done with the artwork and getting new artwork for it, like commissioning new art, hiring a new artist, and having new artwork produced for it, so that your cards, like whatever from Dust to Dust or insert random 4th edition card here, has its own artwork, because we think that's important. So we've been doing that, and then you may see some more like errata reversal type things like we did with the Box of Greed, where we sort of like fix a card.
or unfix
Yeah,
card.
unfixed, yeah.
It's
Something that-
definitely been a very positive thing, I'd say. Just seeing in the community very receptive to those. Hey, let's roll this back and pretend like this errata never happened. So
It's a small audience that like it's a small audience where that's relevant to, but like we're also part of that audience. We're still fans of the game, and we want those things fixed. So yeah, that's not not a lot of people care or know that Gednuri was unnerfed, but for the people who do know about it, yeah, you're right. That's an easy layup win. That's some goodwill.
it's even harder with Corin Drac. I have
I
my name on it.
I love that they rewrite Bull Rush, so you can at least stun to the front again.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. It's very good.
Miss those days.
Yeah, indeed. Good
Yep.
old Cron Bull Rush.
Mhm.
You were talking. We know that COVID is coming up. GenCon, sorry, not COVID. COVID was the past year. Flip that
Yeah.
one. And you talked about a larger event in Dallas, right? That was the. What was the name?
Yeah, so if for people who don't know what SCGCon is, SCGCon is a big tournament circuit. They do 12 to 16 events a year, basically all over the U.S. And it's very, very easy to kind of slot ourselves in there from our perspective because we get to be around other games and be all over the country in different areas that we don't necessarily have the time to go to ourselves or organize events in ourselves. And there's already people going to those events to play games. So the SCGCon will basically be twofold. There'll be a demo area in what they call the proving grounds where where there will be people teaching Warlord. So anyone who just happens to be at the con, which is free to get into, the events cost money,
Oh,
but
great.
it doesn't cost anything to go. So you just show up and go into the con hall, and there's vendors, artists, there's Warlord artists, etc., and you can come demo Warlord. And then there will also be events space for people to actually play. And so all the ones coming up for the rest of the year will have essentially the same event schedule, which is kind of a main event that starts in the morning and it's 6 rounds of the cut. And then in the afternoon, there's a more beginner friendly event, with the theory being, people may come and demo earlier in the day and then want to actually play in an event. So it would just be like a small starter deck event as well. And then, of course, just marketing wise, it's fantastic for Warlord because there's
Yeah.
going to be thousands of people there playing card games, and so the easiest people to get into card games are card game players, and we don't have to work as hard there. And then because Warlord's going to be, they do prize walls for all of their stuff, so because Warlord's going to be a part of their prize wall, and you can use tickets across different games. What they find is that a lot of players who win tickets in one game who don't necessarily need cards for that game are much more apt to do things like buy starter decks for other games. So, say they go play in an event for another game, they've got, a starter deck's worth of tickets for Warlord. They say, oh, I'll try out that game. It's almost like money you have to spend in a certain way. And so you're just mentally much more apt to do that. So it's a fantastic marketing opportunity for us. It's a great way for us to have larger events running all over the country. There's 4 more this year, and Warlord will be at all of them. So.
Yep, Dallas, Baltimore, Los Angeles or
Hartford.
Vegas? Los Angeles, right?
LA and Hartford, Connecticut.
And then Hartford, Connecticut. Yep. So 4 more this year. And you were asking about things that went well. Getting on SCGCon was something that went well.
Oh, good.
It's
Yeah.
very good for the game. Like Josh said, we almost view it. It's twofold. It's obviously events. So this is a convention. Several thousand people are there. And they're usually in city centers. So, you can get people within about a 5-hour drive maybe to come out and play. So it'll be nice for the game to have where people can go and have like an event with at least 50 plus people fire and compete for things. And we'll have you get prize wall tickets, but we will have some like special stuff there. We'll have some special prizes that you can not only get there, but almost kind of like that. So yeah, I don't know. I can't go into that too much.
That would be the major way.
There's some really exciting prizes that you'll pretty much only be able to get through attending an SCGCon and or buying it off of somebody who went to one and got enough tickets to buy those things. But there's cool prizes, and that goes for a lot of games. Do that. We've structured what we do based on what other games do and what works. But we really look at SCGCon as marketing, like Josh was saying. That's the other big side of it. That thousands of people are walking into this convention hall. And one of the first things they see in what's called the Proving Ground, it's like a demo area for all the different games, Flesh and Blood, Bo Jackson Battle Arena, like just all the different games are up there. and people are going to be walking by and seeing. They're going to walk by and see people demoing Warlord, rolling dice. They're going to see the branding, and it's just a huge marketing thing to be able to show that to marketing win, to be able to show that to card gamers, and it helps us. Like he said, we can't travel constantly. You know, we wouldn't be able to continue to be married if we did. So, but
Or produce the game. Like, we don't have time to make the game.
produce a game. We couldn't increase our payroll as well to, you know, bring on enough people to be able to do this kind of thing. So Star City Games Convention was the perfect answer because it runs itself. They staff themselves. They have their own judges who, you know, people sign up and say what games they can judge. And some people will, you know, add Warlord to that, and they'll use them in the Warlord area. So it's really good, and that is a big deal. Kind of like Josh was saying, distribution. Not every game gets to be on SCG Con at all, compared to the number of games that would like to, which I think is a lot of them. So Warlord, we were able to make it work, and able to get those introductions, and we're really excited because we think it'll be really big for the game.
Another question: why are we hearing all this great event that happens over there in the USA, which I love to hear? Well, you probably know I'm unfortunately not over there. I'm on the other side of the ditch, and I have to ask, what are the further plans and supports for the European community and probably the rest of the world?
I can answer that. The big thing, so for Europe and really the rest of the world in general, is volume of players plays a big part of it. So just Kickstarter wise, for instance, something like 90% of our purchases were in the US versus the rest of the world. So we have to not, and we're probably actually currently disproportionately supporting the rest of the world versus our actual player base. So it's also hard for us to continue to grow the game because we can't necessarily warehouse stuff everywhere. So what happens with the rest of the world is that when the set comes out, there ends up being a lot of product in the country, and this is probably going to be true for almost any region outside of the U.S. And then post the initial release of a set, so like the initial release of Into the Borderlands, there's a lot less product in those areas of the world, so it makes a lot less sense for us to throw tons of marketing dollars into it. But that being said, we do have potential, really great warehousing opportunities that'll be like a very similar to Fulfilled type situation, which I'll explain in a second, but in both the EU and the UK that should be coming up later this year, which means stores in both the UK and the EU will be able to easily order product from somewhere.
Right.
Without us having to go through a distributor, because that's the other hurdle, is that in the US we have like easy warehousing locations. We have the partnership with Covenant where we're able to just basically send everything there and let it warehouse there, and then it actually ships out of there to a lot of different places like stores, which is the Fulfilled program. So for those that don't know, we have a sort of direct sale partnership with Covenant where they where stores can sign up to be a part of Fulfilled. We review that application to see if we will accept stores, which is, it's not a hard process as long as you're an actual legitimate brick and mortar store that seems to be running events. We're going to accept you to purchase things through Fulfilled, and then they can purchase things through Fulfilled basically as if Fulfilled was their distributor, and so stores can be getting product that way when their distributor runs out. It's the kind of the dynamic that, I digress, but the dynamic of the game is, or the TCG game in general, is that we produce the thing, we sell it to fulfillment partners sell it to stores, and stores sell it to end consumers. So in places that aren't the US, we have to have somewhere where it can sit while we wait for fulfillment partners to decide if they want to buy more and more of the game. And and distributors don't necessarily want to purchase lots of a game when it first comes out, especially smaller card games, because there's a huge CCG boom going on right now, and so it's hard for them to decide what they want to take that risk on. So they will order a certain amount, And then when that sells through, maybe they order more. Maybe they say, we're going to cut our losses there. We're not going to order more. And then if they don't order more, then the stores in those regions can't order more. So the good news is we have some good stuff coming up for both Europe and the UK, which are probably our next two largest markets that'll allow stores there to easily get access to stuff. And then we also have some really exciting partnerships in both Brazil and the Philippines, which are our kind of next largest groups, essentially. And then South America, other than Brazil, is kind of taken care of through PhD and stuff like that. And so there's some, and they also have a lot of them have US forwarding stuff, like they'll work with US distributors. And then Australia is its own thing beyond that. But I'm very excited about the UK and EU stuff.
To sum up, so Josh is saying there's not much product in Europe. And so if we were to spend, ultimately, I think it would come down to money. And then obviously, like, people going
Money
out
and time.
time and people. And so if we were doing that right now in the Europe, if we were executing, let's say we made a plan, obviously we would rope, probably you and personally, Sebastian, in that. And we were going around, let's say Germany or France or different countries. And we were demoing Warlord, talking to game store owners, going to local conventions. And we were trying to push Warlord. There wouldn't be any product for people to buy. There's none currently, in Europe hardly. And Blackfire, I think, keeps selling out. And then keeps
we do
like they're not ordering a lot of it. So we're in a strange place because of that. But what he's talking about is eventually we will have enough product there to where something like that might make more sense. And we don't even encourage, we haven't been talking to people in Europe about, hey, go push the game or encouraging it much, because there's just nothing. It's not going to go anywhere. People will learn the game, they'll want it, but they won't be able to buy it, and then they'll quickly forget about it again and move on to something else. So we're kind of waiting and biding our time until we can get a bunch of product into Europe, and then once that happens, then we can push for it. But it's the product has to be there first.
I mean, it makes
basically, if there's not a direct method, it's hard. Yeah,
it makes totally sense that you first supporting your main market, and if the base sits up, you jump next country. But I hope I will see you guys over the ditch here one time in my good old Germany town and welcome you here.
we would love to.
We will. You will.
We've
great food
we've
and
tried
great beer
to go
there.
to Essen. Yeah, we've tried to go to Essen multiple times. It just comes down to
I show you good
is there
German
enough
food.
product.
you get the rouladen.
Yeah, I want the
Yes,
rouladen. I want the rouladen.
I like everything, so I'm
But
excited for all of that.
we got a good transition there on this one for our next question, because we are talking about, whether or not these, distributors like Blackfire have the product or whatever, or just, getting the product to them. So it comes down to the question of, are we printing new product? And in that same regard, do we have a new printer? So to add a little bit on that one, to see like do you have a new printer? How has the collaboration been going? And if you do have a new printer, is that what we are seeing in the new stock of Overlords and Dragonlords?
Yes. Yep. Yeah, and that's something we've talked a little bit about a couple different places, but yeah, I mean, after the initial like Kickstarter stuff was printed and any like promos that we happened to have with them printing with them were finished up, that was that for that manufacturer. It was not a
You
hard
can name them.
decision,
They're on the bottom of the
unfortunately.
box.
I know. It was not
there was no goodbye. There was nothing with it.
No, there
we
wasn't.
never said goodbye to them. They never said goodbye to us. They never sent any follow-ups. We never sent any follow-ups. Everyone involved in that understood. We knew, they knew what happened. Everybody who's opened the packs and opened up a PSA 3, card after card after card, and seen that the collation was so poor. And none of that had anything to do with what we had seen and what we had approved. Everybody was just kind of dumbfounded. And that's another way in which the community and consumers were really gracious, because everybody's like, man, this card stock's kind of thin. The edges are terrible. Maybe these are off center. This factory did a bad job. But usually a lot of people get their pitchforks out and like come after the publisher. understandably so. But it didn't happen nearly as badly as it could have, right? Like I would think a print run like that could kill a game. We all would assume that that could kill a game. But Warlord has been resilient. The fans have been resilient, and we are really appreciative of that. And so when we went to find a new one, like Josh, a new printer like Josh was talking about, we had a lot of things that we were looking out for where it needed to be night and day. We would not accept anything less than I don't want to say perfection, but somebody really good with communication, somebody who can really demonstrate that they're like competent with collation, which this factory has. All the right machines and all the right processes, and they'll walk out and take videos of their factory. It's nice because the sales team and the communications team is on site in the factory, and so when we talk to them, they'll just walk out, snap a video, take a picture, and say like, hey, you can see what they're doing, like we discussed, these people are doing this, these machines are doing that. We can we will probably provide more details. I feel like we kind of need to not just say, but also show a little bit this time around. We're not beholden in the same way like with the Kickstarter necessarily to constant updates and that kind of thing. But I would just like to show people, hey, we're not just saying things are okay right now. We also are willing to show it a bit. And this new factory will actually respond to emails to let us do that. So
So great.
they're great.
So fantastic.
They're really good.
I think just
we
smiling
were
so
just
hard.
having that conversation. Yeah, there was like we realized we needed something like some
Mhm.
promotional materials. We were like, oh, whoops, we forgot to order those. Let's reach out to them and see if we can rush that along. And they like I had 6 back and forth emails with them, the other evening. That sort of thing would have taken 6 months
6
with
months,
the
easy.
with the other. But yeah, to actually answer your question, because yes, the like all of the Overlord decks, the Flame Jester and Strong Arm Stout promos that people are seeing in the organized play kits, those are all printed with the new manufacturer. The Dragon Lords, the all the Dragon Lord runners got like Dragon Packs, and so those are all. But there's like it passed the flick test in a different way. If you're you can't really tell from the video very well, but like you
Oh, I
can
can.
you can do that. Yeah, you can. Yeah, there's that one, and then there's the new one, which doesn't like it just doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, much
care,
heavier,
so.
much more resilient for sure.
Yeah, they're great. We love them. We also like the foiling better. So even the Oracle or the Oracle Kavar promo, that was the Covenant promo. That was with the new manufacturer. And like I'll even like we've done test foil prints of a lot of the Into the Cord Land stuff, and like these are test cards, and it's just so much better. The whole process. We're really happy with the foiling process there. It's a lot easier to read. It looks more premium. It feels fantastic. The cards are less glossy, and it's just all of it's great. We love it.
Very good. Seb, you want to take the next one?
Yeah.
Your audio still there, or I don't know if Seb is quiet for anyone else.
I'm quiet now. You hear me,
Oh,
right?
there you are. Okay.
Okay. Sorry. Are there any lessons learned from the first print run that now have influence on the future products? I mean, you have talked about the thickness of the cards, and I received my cards as well. And I mean, my first question to you was that are there new printed? This is awesome, but are there any other lessons that they said we will definitely don't do that anymore, and we're gonna go that direction?
Yeah, I'll take this. So, well, just in talking to printers and talking to manufacturers, we are a lot more assertive, and we identify red flags. And I mean, I think, so we obviously blame our manufacturer and have used that for PR as much as we can. We've really milked that, like, hey, that last factory was terrible. But I would put some blame on us as well, just in terms of like we were really green, and we were referred to that factory, and so we had a lot of confidence in the referral, like the companies that referred us, and so we ignored a lot of red flags. Now, if we see a red flag with a manufacturing partner, we call it out immediately. We make a big deal out of it, and we're not afraid to walk away, even mid-process or something, and say, "Hey, we'll find somebody else if you can't. If you know, hey, this paper's wrong. Send us something. Show us that this paper's right now, or this finish, or whatever it is. And if they can't, then we're happy to move on to someone else." So that's something that's just different about us. We're much more assertive. Because we have to be. You have to be defensive and assertive for your company and for your fans. And then you're asking if there's any other lessons learned. We learned a lot about, I don't know, packaging. We learned, I would say we learned something about collation, but really we were okay on our collation. The way we described it, the issue was, truly with the factory. Even the samples were better than what they sent out. We have, though, received a lot of feedback, really common piece of feedback, and we commented on it the other day, that there are too many warlords showing up in the rare and legendary slots in the packs. This isn't so bad for like a casual, like somebody who just gets a couple packs, but this really punishes people who get cases. And I'm kind of laughing, but it's like I'm just thinking about like people who've sent me messages of like, look at how many copies of this rare warlord I have. How many do you think I'd like to have versus, other rares in the set that I need multiple play sets of to fill out multiple decks? And I'm like, okay, this is something that we've heard anecdotally. This is something we've seen so much conversation about online that it's essentially a really good stat at this point. Like nobody's enjoyed this aspect of opening the packs and opening the product. And so we've talked about multiple solutions. I've thrown out something that I know I've seen other people throw out online, but I think I threw it out just kind of independent of like making a warlord slot in the packs. We've thrown out just several different things, and where we've landed right now, moving forward, is any future printing of warlord as it stands now until we go back on this and change what we're doing. But currently, we are just going to double the rarity, or
Everything
essentially
else.
like half the rarity of or like show the rare and legendary warlords will show up half as often. So they'll still occupy a rare or legendary slot. They will still have the symbol at the bottom, but they will show up half as often as the other rares and legendaries in the set. And I think there will still be enough copies. One of the things we were kind of happy about, having rare and legendary warlords just show up at a natural occurrence, we were happy about that people could always get a copy of that card to build their deck. It would be fairly cheap. The price would stay low, but we didn't really anticipate just how many additional copies everybody would get. And until we saw that, we didn't know. So I think warlords will still be, even rare and legendary warlords, even showing up half as often. I think the price will still be low enough, generally, that like a player won't feel like they're priced out of warlord because they can't buy this $300 legendary warlord or something. I really just don't ever see that happening, because you only need, any given individual only really needs one copy of it. So I think there'll always be enough of a supply. So we felt confident to make that change, and we think that's a good response to all the feedback we've seen and complaints. And if it doesn't work out, then we'll go back to the drawing board and figure something else out. But this is what we're doing now as a lesson learned.
Yep.
Very nice. Good stuff. I think now we can shift a little bit to game design in the current meta. So I know we touched upon this a little bit already with the new Overlord and the Dragonlord, but I want to dive into it from a design perspective, because obviously with the challenge system, it's one of the iconic pieces of this game. How do you feel the design has translated into gameplay so far for both the Overlord and the Dragonlord? Like I've heard just from the players mixed things. Some people are like, the Dragonlord's easier than the Overlord. So I'm just curious, what are your thoughts and what are your feedback in terms of like how it all shaped up from concept to what it is now?
But
I personally am not unhappy with it, is what I will say. I think I would tend to agree that the Dragon Lord is in many cases easier than the Overlord. I also think Dragon Lord, there's a lot more chance you're gonna just sit there and jam games, right? Because if somebody, if you have a handful of people that are like, I'm gonna sit here and take 5 or 10 challenges. realistically, if somebody plays, a deck that is geared to beat the Overlord against the Overlord 10 times, they're probably going to beat it at about the same percentage chance. The difference with the Overlord is the event beforehand, playing the tournament beforehand with that deck, and then getting to it, and the only once per week, and so there's a lot more delay than you would have if you're at a Dragonlord event and you jam 50 challenges and lose 5 Dragonlords. So I am happy with it. The other thing with Dragonlords is that right now we have a whole bunch of level 5 lesser powered dragons. For those of us that remember back in the day when you've got lots of like level 6, 7 dragons, tons of powerful wizard spells to throw in those decks. There's a lot more going on than if you had just a fighter wizard guy that might even just come up to the front, unlike some of the other Dragon Lords. So um, I am also fairly happy with how the Overlord is played out. I think there's a lot more ways to beat it than people are doing, because why not just choose the easier method? But I had a local win with Aurlynne the other day, and that was a blast. That kind of thing. So I don't know, what do you have to add there, Woodruff?
Game design, how happy am I with Overlord and Dragonlord? I didn't I don't love Diabolus, not because of power level, but from a like game design perspective. By far my favorite old Overlords were the ones that had some kind of weird hook, like Sir Tython being just one character,
Ugh.
or Siege Master having the entire army in play. I think when you have that type of like, when you completely change the dynamic of the game and it's like we're not playing Warlord anymore, or the boat from 4E that would like move, I think, through your ranks, that kind of stuff was is cooler. And I wish that we could have gotten something like that going, but we just kind of slapped some special rules onto like a fairly normal game of Warlord, and just made it, dialed it to 11, which to me is less interesting from a design perspective. But it does present a challenge. I mean, for sure. Like those special rules make it really hard, and some people really like that. I think if the Overlord had come out and been really easy, and lots of people had beaten it, I think that would be okay. I think if it had been somewhere mid power, that would have been okay as well. And then what I think Diabolus was it came out and it's high power, and I think that has that's an experience that's acceptable too. I think that it made a lot of people kind of, especially at the launch event, which was fun, and I think kind of fun to do for the community. We'll continue to do that. That was overall in our minds kind of a success. Just hearing that this thing went 30-0, 30-0, or whatever the number of challenges was, it kind of sent waves through the community where they're like, "Oh man, this thing is like, what is this?" And then and that just creates a moment and a story, and then people are really celebrating it around the world when somebody beats it. I mean, literally, we're hearing about a lot of them over socials, and then the comment section is nothing but like, "Congratulations, great job, no easy feat." And so it has made the experience kind of rewarding. So I don't know. It's interesting. On the Dragonlord, the Dragonlord's been really fun. Let's see. The Dragonlord is, I think, kind of everything we want from a Dragonlord. There were just enough dragons and Into the Accordlands for him to kind of function without us having to do anything super strange. Dragonlords
Paid for
are,
that.
of course. What's that?
We planned for that. We thought ahead.
Yeah. No, that was Josh. Josh really likes dragons. He was like, people just like dragons. Let's just put a bunch of dragons in the set, and it was a really wise decision in more ways than one, on multiple levels. But the Dragon Lord's fun. The cool thing about the Dragon Lord, of course, is that the runners build their decks. So it's nice because if you know that your store leans more casual, you can pull punches from the deck building side of it, as well as in the challenges, of course. But if you know you're in a pretty cutthroat group, you can build your deck a little more cutthroat, and you can also just build multiple decks. There's so many different things you can do as a Dragon Lord, and a big part of being a successful Dragon Lord is knowing like how to read your local group and how to make it fun for them, but also kind of keep that win percentage in the 10% range, and make the games an experience where people feel like they were sometimes in it. And just that whole process takes a lot of like just reading people and knowing how to make it fun. But I think that from the design perspective, I think that Corteth is easy to do that with. He's a good vessel for that. And I think for all the Warlord boomers that have played it for a long time, which is everybody on this call, and I'm sure a lot of people will watch this video as well, but a lot of fresh faces will end up watching this as well, so this won't apply to them. Corteth was a really fun, like, Easter egg callback that everybody instantly recognized that was a Warlord boomer, and that was fun as well. And I think we captured, mechanically, design-wise, we captured what Abyssals were kind of about, and what Corteth is kind of about, and we married all those things together, and we feel like he's just a really compelling Dragon Lord, and it's been really fun. I know you haven't done your event yet, Chris, but we, Josh and I, he said that at the top of the interview, but we ran events and just had an absolute blast. I had so much fun at my event from 9 a.m. until 3 a.m. It was a good time.
Great seeing Jason Engel get excited about seeing Corteth too.
Yeah, that's
Awesome.
fun.
Great.
He's
Yeah.
fanboying with the Dragon Lord chat. He's like, "Oh, there's my boy."
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have like
Yep.
an internal Kingswood chat as well, and Jason will pop into that, and it's always one of those like celebrity moments. It feels like some of the time, like some of the other artists are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm working on this game." with
Especially for
Jason
smaller, newer artists, when Jason says
Uh-huh.
something in the chat, they're all like, "Oh, it's Jason Engel."
It's wild.
Stop talking,
It's a
start
good time.
listening.
Yeah. Keep saying stuff. But, yeah, it's been good though. I've loved this is an interesting call because all of us have been like involved with Dragon Lord stuff to a point. So you guys are both running events, and we of course we're involved with stuff too. So it's an interesting perspective. I think for older players, if you've got an older player in a group, they know, back in the day, AEG always told the Dragon Lord runners try and keep like a 90% win rate or whatever, which they sometimes didn't do, and sometimes you'd find that pushover Dragon Lord, you'd be good to go. But we've kind of wanted to continue that, and for me personally, it felt like I was very easily able to kind of use how I built my deck and how I chose to play the game to very easily keep that sort of ratio without having to work at it potentially. Like I've talked to some of our development lead was like he's a gamer. He's been a gamer for 30 years. He doesn't naturally try to lose, which nor would a normal Dragon Lord either. But you have to like figure out how to gear things so that you are going to lose some because you need to lose some. It's not like this could be an unbeatable feat. So it's been fun to like gear our decks in such a way that we're gonna we're gonna beat people most of the time, but also we're gonna lose some of the time, and we're gonna win in a way that people don't feel too bad about. So
My deck
doing
only had 7
games.
characters, so there's some variety there with the game design as well. I only had my starting army and my starting dragon, and I didn't play any other characters. I just started with a Brightwing and immediately took my Quartet to the front and beat people's front doors down. So it was fun. And I went like 22 or 23 and 2. I lost twice and won. So I kept that 10% ratio even doing that. It was a good time.
Yeah, and that's a good strategy because it's again, there's the traditional idea of Dragon Lord's got to sit in the back, and everyone's going to try and solve that puzzle in a certain way. But when you put that character into danger by bringing him to the front, like there's a give and take to that, where you might be a little bit more risky there. Like he could just get shot by Mare and die really fast.
Yes,
or
Mare specifically. Mare had 2 turns to kill me, whereas a fighter didn't really have as much because I would get in the front and I was a lot scarier than the other fighter. So I would just go up and fight the fighters. But the Mare was really scary because they had basically 2 turns until I could kill their army with just my Warlord or just my Dragon Lord. So Mare would have like 2 turns to kind of goldfish and figure out a kill on me with, Firebrand and additional wounds. And if she didn't, then it was over. A lot of Mares were challenging me.
By hearing all that, I'm really looking forward for my first Dragon Lord event in 2 weeks.
Poor Seb, man. We just need to.
Yeah, it'll be a good
we just
time.
need to.
Yeah.
We need to smuggle you over here.
Yeah.
Whereas
But-
I was running 3 glimmers and 3 melt metals.
Oh
and
yeah,
using
that's a
that
great
as well.
combination.
That
Yeah.
was a hoot.
Yeah.
Love it.
But now going down from the Dragonlord Overlord level, let's get down to the Warlord level. With the first set, we have a new meta. And did you have seen the actual meta with the most successful decks playing and running? Did you have seen that meta coming? And if not, how do you feel about the current state of the meta?
I think we didn't see it coming, and we also don't see it completely yet. We have kind of some takeaways from our local groups, and we see what people are doing online, and we hear what people are saying, sort of like, online discussion. But we don't, if like from a company perspective, we don't really feel like we have a great picture of the meta just yet, because ultimately you want to see some larger events with higher attendance and more pronounced prizes where people aren't goofing around anymore. The best players, quote unquote, are playing what they view as the best decks because they want the best prizes, and there's a larger, pool of players there. And once we see that forming, then we'll kind of be able to say, what we think the meta is, and based on that, we'll have a better perspective. So for us, even just this at the end of this month, like you mentioned, said there's GenCon, which will have some larger events. Then after that is Dallas, Baltimore, LA, and Hartford, and all of those will give us a lot of data. And so at the end of the year, here in about 4 months, we will know much more. If all those top 8s have
3 months.
6 copies, yeah, in the next couple months. If
That's
all those top
5 events
8s,
in the next 3 months. Yeah.
sure. So if all those if all of those events have 6 copies of the same type of deck in the top 8, then we'll know, okay, this meta is extremely heavy this. But if it is more spread out, then that'll be interesting as well. We'll just kind of have to see. We know the early conversation obviously is that fighters are really dominant and have the least risky or most straightforward path to winning. And then you kind of have Marehaven, who punishes those decks. You brought your Warlord up to me and I can just kill you. And then you have Aurlynne, who is also kind of just a deck that can win a lot. It's kind of proven itself anecdotally, like at stores and online a bunch. And then you kind of have everything else, which is some of those can show up and do well, but they're a lot less reliable, I would say, or at least that to me, that's the kind of snapshot of where Saga's at. So it's kind of like three types of decks are the sort of tier 0 or tier 1, and then everybody else is like somewhere else below that. And that's what we see now, but we'll see what happens at the next few events. And were you also asking if we're happy with it, or was there a second? I think. Do we like it? We're okay. We just accept what what comes.
I think we're pretty agnostic about it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I don't think we're unhappy with it. Is the short answer. I don't know that we're happy. I don't know that we're definitely not unhappy. So far, I don't see it as being something to be
It's
mad
definitely
about,
not
especially with
unfun. Yeah, like
But,
I would
yeah.
echo the fighter part that it's very popular, specifically because of Deverinus's axe, which I know we're dancing
Correct.
around on, and
Yeah.
I feel like I would be doing a disservice to our community if we did not talk about that card.
And I
particularly.
think specifically what Woodrow was saying, to put more specific words to it is that unless we're seeing Devax show up in all the decks in that are like we'll know something, I guess, if that's what happens. But before then, it's harder to tell at like a 6-person local event when someone emails me and says, "Hey, I had a very unfun situation." It's hard for me to tell if that's, well, they just got rolled all day, which can happen with anything. Like that could have happened to them with Aurlynne. The Aurlynne player could have drawn Revenger and Cutlass every single one of their games and just wrecked them every game, almost the same way as Devax. Of course, that's DevX is going to do it a little more consistently, and that's really what it comes down to, is that it's just that much more consistent because you have DevX and Steelforge Regalia, and DevX is the more punishing of the two. I think if there was no DevX, we'd hear similar complaints about Steelforge Regalia. If neither one of them existed, we would hear similar complaints about Revenger because it's the only consistent multi-booting item in the set or something like that sort of thing. We're just going to go down the line with items in that way, and so until we're seeing large events where it's very consistently happening in a very negative way, it's going to be hard for us to really know anything. Because if I go locally, the guys just don't play it, or even when they do play it, they get beat by the other Johnnies that are coming up with wild combo decks. So it's hard to tell on a 6-person, 8-person event what actually is problematic.
But nice to see that you keep an eye on it. By that, I think we change the topic. We go for more future content, because we have played Into the Courtlands a lot, and we love it, and we can't wait to get more cards. What can we expect from the next set? Could you give us something?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things with the it's funny because for some people they've only been playing Warlord since launch, so for a few months, which is crazy, and they've only been experiencing Into the Courtlands for a few months. But for the really diehard zealots like us, like you guys, we've been looking at these cards for longer than, really since the playtest event in 2023.
Like 3 years, man.
Was that 2023? So we've known about Zadok Preyherder, we've known about Marehaven, we've known about these cards that some of those we decided to grandfather and bring into the set. Some of those cards we've been playing with for 3 years, which is, I always brag about Warlord that it has a lot of longevity, but that's a lot of time for a limited card pool like that. And we don't just want the new set, we need the new set, Seb. Yeah, we agree. And the new set we know will shake up the meta in a really good way in terms of classes and factions and whatnot. What details can we share? We have shared, obviously, but we've shared the name of the next set, that it's Barrackston, the Guilds Conspire. We've also shared the name of the set after that, the third set, which is Barrackston Guilds at War. And basically what's happening is we're going to Barrackston, which was
love Barrackston, great city.
What's that?
I love Barrackston, great city.
He might be a little biased.
Yes. Well, so a lot has happened in that city. So that was a big Free Kingdoms location, and it was taken over by which faction again? It was the elves, right?
No, go home, buddy. Go home.
Dwarves got it. Dwarves took it over. Now I remember.
They came up from the ground. They just
who was it?
The Bistles.
Who took it over, Seb?
It was Krun with the Northrogs.
It was Krun and the Northrogs. That's right. They took over Barrackston from the Free Kingdoms, but now we are much further into the future, and Barrackston is sort of a neutral location that is mostly a trade city. So all the different factions, use it as like a big bustling location, because it's right next. If you look at it on a map of the Courtlands, there's like Lake Ahmad, which is right next to it. And it's like the sea goes directly into it, feeds directly into it, I think from 2 directions. And there's all kinds of different channels and whatnot. So it's a really important trade location for the Courtlands. And, as a really important trade location, no one faction can really dominate it, or else it just doesn't work anymore. So there is some kind of balance of power between the different factions within the city so that it can function. But the city is run by guilds that each faction is heavily tied to. And each of the guilds represents a class combination. And I think the guild names were in a story on Patreon recently, but I'll go ahead and just list them off. There are 6 guilds, 6 factions, and each guild represents a class combination. So there's Archon, Scion, Logos, Revel, Whisper, and Valor are the 6 guilds. And they all kind of have different roles in the city and different things that they are sort of the guild that you go to see about this different thing. And if you're in the city for any amount of time or trying to do business and you're an Accordlands, person, you need to go and pay, you need to go and kind of join up with, it's like in prison, American prison, you need to join a gang basically. So you need to join a guild if you're going to exist in Barrackston. You need to join one of these 6 guilds, or at least pay the money to protect you or pretend that they know you. And
Hope it's a
and
little
they're,
bit more fun than prison.
yeah, yeah, I think so. But they're pretty cool. So one of them, so in each of the guilds represents a class combination, like I said. So fighter, rogue. There happens to be 4 classes and 6 combinations. So you have fighter, rogue, cleric, rogue, fighter, wizard, just all those different combinations. And so a lot of the mechanics for the set involve class pairings and multi-class. So
Right.
you think of cards like Shadow Bolts from Into the Accordlands, and actually it was a reprint. Even before that, it says, perform a +4 range strike. If you're a rogue, it inflicts an additional wound against spent characters. If you're a wizard, do another +4 range strike. So there's a lot of cards with that type of templating. And there's a lot of multi-class characters. There's a lot of multi-class warlords, and it's pretty fun it's very fun to play. It's also very fun to draft and kind of easy to draft. And we think it will do a lot to shake up the Into the Accordlands meta, where we think it's going to settle once we see all these events, this mystery meta that we pretend we have no idea about, but really we have some idea. We do know that this shakes it up a lot, and in a fun way. We think that some of the factions that were a little weaker really get a lot of tools, and we think that some of the classes that were weaker, I feel like every class just gets so many tools because of the multi-class nature of it, that everybody can play one, at least, has a wide card pool based on this. And we thought it was a fun way to supplement Into the Accordlands, because since the pool is going to be so small, it's nice to give multi-class cards out so that Aurlynne can play all of the cleric rogue stuff, all of the fighter rogue stuff, and all of the wizard rogue stuff. So it'll really kind of break out and expand what is possible for all the different warlords in a cool way. And it's a blast. We love this set. I think I don't know. Maybe we're overselling it, but I have really enjoyed working on this set. Josh has really enjoyed it. Our development team loves it, and we're all kind of, we say behind closed doors that it's the best Warlord set ever, and we think that absolutely.
Very excited about it.
Anything else to add to that, Josh, before we go to the next question, which would follow up on that?
It's so hard not to talk about anything about Barrackston.
It's really exciting. We're super pumped about it. There's a reprint Warlord. About that. That's exciting.
Ooh, that's a spicy
straight up.
I like that.
Straight up reprint Warlord.
And the wick.
I mean, it's it'll be fun for people to. And I think just naturally it's going to be nice for people to see. And I'll go ahead and say, to add to the Warlord thing, there are less Warlords in this set, so it's gonna, like, in addition to there being, like, that was part of the another portion of the problem with Into the Accordlands, is that you had 2 rare Warlords for each faction. So there's only 1 rare Warlord for each faction in this set because it's a smaller set. So obviously we can't, like, that would compound the problem, right? So there's less Warlords in each faction because it's a smaller set. So it's gonna be great to see how all that shakes out. I think the other thing to say just about the meta in general, and this set, is because we have all the dual class stuff and there's so many things that everybody can do. In general, as we've seen with Ancients, if you're familiar with Ancients, the longer and more cards there are in a meta, the worse your fighters get, and the better your wizards and clerics get, because there's more and more kind of control cards and things for them to do. And fighters and rogues only can do so much, and because there's so many counters to them, and just so many other things that wizards and clerics can do, you tend, you get towards a middle somewhere, right, where they end up, everybody sort of balances out. And this set kind of rushes that a little bit, because there's so many things that everyone can kind of do across classes. You've got cards that are made for both clerics and wizards that are very good. You know, cards that mimic other things. And then on top of that, there's lots of multi-class warlords. So because there's so many multi-class warlords, you're able to do lots of things in lots of decks in order to do stuff. It's a good time.
And
We're
I,
very excited. There's new mechanics. Again, there's a lot of great stuff happening. We have our development team for this set was larger than both our design and development teams were larger for this set than for Into the Fordlands by a fair bit. So there are a lot more voices and testing and et cetera, that have gone on, and just everyone in general is very excited about which picking up.
yeah, I like the sound of that because it is a way,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you said, to give more options by going the multi-class angle. You can get more value out of the cards with a smaller card pool. So you still have a lot of room for creativity while still having a relatively smaller card pool compared to what we've seen in the past. But the interesting point there too that you're saying that you brought in some new people. So we wanted to ask a little bit about the overall design direction. Like, so how is there anything you can maybe comment on the difference of what those new voices in the room and how that's kind of evolved your overall design approach as a company?
Sure. Yeah,
Like,
we have a different process now. So now basically what happens is we have some vision design meetings, which means essentially we have a blank slate. This is the set. This is set 4, let's say. Let's talk about set 4. Well, how do we look at it? Well, we know that overall what we're doing nowadays is we are taking locations in the Accordlands and kind of zooming in with a microscope, and that's kind of our version of, like, some games will move from like Magic the Gathering will move to different planes to tell different stories. Game of Thrones, I don't remember what you guys did, but I think it was like a lot of houses and just different chapters in the book. For Warlord, what we're going to do is be telling more small conflict, like small scale stories, like we're doing with Barrackston, where we're saying, okay, let's go and explore this place. And what we want to do with that is eventually sort of Tolkien style, where Middle Earth was a character in the story of Lord of the Rings and just all that, because he fleshed out so many details about it. And we want to do that with the Accordlands. We want to make the Accordlands, when somebody says Barrackston, we don't go, oh yeah, that used to be like a Free Kingdom city was sacked by Krun. We want to go, oh yeah, we spent like multiple sets there and we remember those characters and they're still there, and that kind of thing. So we do know we have that goal in mind, but otherwise we have like a really blank slate. So we'll have a few vision design meetings. What kind of story do we want to tell? And there might be some things that are bottom up, or like we have design goals in mind, and then what type of location or what type of story would suit that well. And then we also think about where are we coming from. So in this case for Barrackston, we were coming from Into the Accordlands, and that's part of how we figured that we want to do some of the multi-class stuff, which you guys are both like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So okay, we want to do multi-class stuff. Well, where would make sense to do that? Well, in a guild city, and then we'll have that vision design talk, and we'll also come up with new mechanics, potentially some new keywords, that kind of thing. And we'll try and see if we can come up with enough content that we think we can stretch it out for at least 2 or 3 sets. And then once we have that, we will move on to initial designs, and we will basically assign different areas, especially, different factions, and we will start designing the characters for the set. We'll like set it out. We'll break it out. Part of the vision design, especially for Barrackston, was we said, well, we want to be multi-class. We have these guilds. These are the pairings. We'll kind of throw these to the different factions, and then we'll come up with slots. We need a rare that's this combination of classes and roughly this level, and we'll make a spreadsheet. We'll design all the characters first, especially the warlords, and then we will do the rest of the characters. And then once we're done with the characters, we'll design out the actions and items. Once we're finished filling the sheet, we'll do a review. A couple of us will do a review away from the calls. We have weekly calls, but away from the calls, we'll do a review of the entire sheet, and we will give feedback on everything. We'll say, hey, we moved this to scratch, start over, do something different. Hey, we noticed this would work well over here, do this. We'll just feedback all across the board. And then everybody will go back and implement all that feedback. We'll have a couple more calls. And then it moves from design to development. All those different cells and all those from the sheet will get moved over to our project management software. and then development will take it over, and they'll start playtesting with it and giving feedback. And then our weekly calls, while we're working on the next set, will also be receiving development's feedback and coming up with ways to adjust the cards on the fly. And then that process goes on. And then once we feel like the development has gone far enough, we start adding, and really this happens beforehand, but story is also involved, right? They're taking these things. We're saying, hey, we have a fighter wizard who is all about equipping dev axes and making copies of it. And and okay, that's what they're about. So can you help us come up with the story for this, the name, the motive, all that kind of stuff, the hook? And then they do that. And when they have that, and we're far enough along in development that we feel like this is exactly what the set is going to look like, art orders. We take the story bits and the design bits and put those together to create art descriptions to send those out to artists. And then that's when things start to feel like the most real, because now we have artwork where we can start mocking up the cards and whatnot and get those print files ready, sent off to a factory. And that's kind of the process. Poorly described, but yeah.
Oh boy.
I don't think that was poor. I think that was a pretty good insight. I think, just
Okay.
narrating from the beginning. So don't
It's a
worry.
lot.
Yeah.
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 I'm with Chris.
we
You
did-
did a good job of going through
We didn't have that process for any of the Cordlands, and a lot of
No.
that we came up with kind of on the fly, and notice what we sat down and okay, what went wrong, like not what went wrong,
worked,
but like
what didn't work, what
how
do we
would
need to work
how
on?
would we how can we improve? And we keep coming up with ideas and ways to improve, which is kind of cool, because we're not just stagnating as a company, we're growing, and we're getting, dare I say, better at this. we might be really good at this.
Might be a meme or two
Might be-
about that one.
Might be really
Oh, I
good
have-
at it.
I have that on my desktop. I send that sometimes, like to, I don't know, in our Team Covenant chat or like different places. I embrace it. Anytime you make fun of me, I embrace it. So it's more than welcome.
I will have to get analytics on the Woodrow or Josh sound alert on my stream. I got to see which one has been redeemed more. I'll let you guys know.
Really,
Sure.
it's so true.
Okay, the future sounds awesome so far, I must say. While Woodrow were talking about some kind of special mechanics, and Josh were giving us a little bit teaser about a reprinting Warlord, are there any other teasers or small spoilers or mechanic that you can give us? I mean, the show must run. I need views and clicks, so give us some information.
We have an article coming out very soon that covers the mechanics of the set, but I honestly wouldn't mind reviewing them here. What do you think about that, Josh? Yeah, I think this is okay.
Love
It's
it.
so close to it. It's so if we're a couple days ahead, it's fine. Okay.
I mean, we're gonna do
So
some
Josh-
stuff at GenCon next week anyway. We'll have a couple
Yes.
cards to preview. So
Ooh.
Yeah,
nice.
Josh mentioned unique mechanics and keywords. Okay, so there are the mechanics of Barrackston. I'll just review, and there's some keywords as well as just some mechanical spaces that we're playing around with. Obviously, the shadow bolts we mentioned, but there are some new keywords. Each of the guilds are kind of paired up in a way. The pairings are Deverinian and Elves, so Archon and Logos. They are like sort of mechanically paired. The Nothrogs and the Mercenaries are paired, and the Dwarves and Free Kingdoms are paired up in a way mechanically. Each of
Senji, you
those
heard that?
mechanics. What's that?
I said, Senji, you heard that?
Sure. Yeah. So I'll go over each of these mechanics, and I will spoil them. Probably world first here.
Love it.
The mechanic for, let's do the Elves and the Deverinians first. The mechanic is called Consume. Archon is a guild that is all about like political power and just power in general. And so they're consuming. And the Logos, the Elves, are a guild. So Archon is fighter wizard, and Logos is elf cleric, or not elf cleric, but wizard cleric. And they're about consuming because they are consuming knowledge, and they are also into necromancy. What consume does is it is actually a keyword, and it has a numerical value next to it. So a card might say consume 4. at the top of it. And on a common or uncommon, it'll have a reminder text for consume. But basically what consume does is you can play the card from your discard pile by, in addition to its other costs, banishing a number of cards equal to its consume value. So if you want to play this card from your discard pile, you can do it. You get to play it again, but you need to banish 4 other cards
From the discard
to
pile,
do it.
right?
From the discard pile. And it's the same keyword for both the Deveranians / Archon and the Elves / Logos. It's the same keyword, but it feels different because the Archon are doing it to like gain power and power things up, whereas the Elves are doing it as like a reflection of their devotion to necromancy and like voracious research, because they are like sort of librarians and scholars in the city. So that's consume. That's one of the mechanics.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Love it. So
Yeah,
necromancer
Green
don't
Flower
getting too
Warden.
powerful. I love it.
Yeah,
Green Flower Warden's
Warden.
going to change to over to Dever Elf. Come on now, get some use out
Yeah.
of that ability.
Well, there are cards. So I mean, obviously the factions do this, but also like there'll be cleric wizard actions that do this, or cleric or wizard actions, or items that might have consume or interact with consume. And then I'll just go to the next one. The next thing is bounty counters. Bounty counters are a mechanic that do nothing. It's just put a bounty counter on a character. So it's just a counter. But you have 2 guilds that deal with bounty counters, and this is the Nothrog and this is the Mercenaries. And the theme for those, so that the Nothrog are rogue fighters, and that's the Valor Guild. And they are like the monster hunters and bounty hunters of Barrackston. You have a big city like Barrackston. Of course, there's a town guard, but there's so many criminals and so much criminal activity that you really kind of need some bounty hunters. And the Nothrog, fill that role in Barrackston, as well as monster hunters. There's just tons of area around Barrackston. There's special parts that maybe you need, like the heart of a, gargantuan newt or something for a magical item. So you would like go post it on a board. Hey, we need this monster part. And the Valor Guild would typically be the only people brave enough and crazy enough to run out into a monstrous newt's, hideout and kill it and bring you back the heart. So that's what the Nothrog are doing. And those are bounty counters. And then the Mercenaries thematically are, that's the Whisper Guild. It is the Rogue Wizards. They are assassins. So they are like masks. They often wear porcelain masks. You don't know their identity. And they are very, basically you would go see them if you wanted somebody killed and you wanted nobody to know about it. They're like full discretion. And they put bounty counters on characters as a way to mark them for assassinating, whereas the Nothrog are doing it to like bounty hunt them or monster hunt them. And what bounty counters does, again, is nothing. You just put bounty counters on things. There's a little tagline in each of their texts. So for Nothrogs, this is not a keyword. Like it won't just say this, but this will be in addition to other text. Yeah, exactly like Nightfall and Daybreak. It's italicized and it says Hunter's Mark for the Nothrog. So Hunter's Mark, let's say enter react, put a bounty counter on target character within 1 rank. It's on a first level character. So, but if that same ability were to be on a Whisper character or a mercenary, it would say whisper a name, enter react, put a bounty counter on target character within 1 rank. So those aren't keywords necessarily. They're just kind of like telling you, dear reader, this thing is happening. And it like thematically separates the two. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then there will be cards that refer to bounty counters. Hey, we inflict an additional wound with melee strikes against characters with 1 or more bounty counters. Or, hey, limited react, draw a card after you kill a character with a bounty counter. Whatever types of things, there's benefits there. And that is Nothrog and Mercenary. And then the last 2 factions are Dwarf and Free Kingdoms. The Dwarves are, of course, cleric fighters, and their guild name is Scion. And they are like monks, and you would go to them if you want to like atone for your sins, kind of give your life to the, serving the greater good of the Accordlands or Barrackston. Or you might go to them if you need protection or if you need refuge, or, if the Whisper Guild is after you, go hide with the dwarves, go hide with the Scion Guild, protect me. And then the Free Kingdoms, they are cleric rogue, and they are Revel, and the Revel Guild, and they're kind of like folk hero, do-gooders, Robin Hood. You might go see them if like somebody stole from you, somebody powerful stole from you, and there's nothing you can do about it. You go tell them, and they will make it right. And they might make it right with like 2 tankards of ale in their hand. Revel refers to the fact that they like to drink and have merriment and all that. In fact, their base of operations is like a big bar. So they're kind of cool. But anyway, the mechanic for those 2 guilds and 2 class combinations is support. And so that'll just be a keyword at the top of a card. Commons and uncommons will show you the reminder text, but support says adjacent characters gain +2 attack, AC, and skill. So if you have 2 of them next to somebody, that character in the middle will get +4 attack, AC, and skill. And then there are cards that might refer to characters with support, like, you know, limited order, move your character with support forward 1 rank, that kind of thing. So that gets referred to a bit. And then the last mechanic for the set is called trade, and it shows up kind of sporadically, and it means draw a card and discard a card. And then that's all the new mechanics of the set, and that's kind of the between those and then the multi-class nature and then the city themes, that is kind of the set in a nutshell. And I know there's a long time of talking, but I just
No, we love any minute.
So.
We love every
Was it
minute.
good? Okay, yeah.
They're
Oh, boy.
excited. They're just
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know. Yeah. Cool.
The
fun.
hamster
The
on the
theme
wheel
super
is
fun.
quiet. That's what
I
it
know,
is.
right?
Moving.
Yeah,
Sure.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's just waiting.
World's first. Yeah, we're spoiling it here.
I love it. I mean, everybody see our faces here. Well, are you talking? And Chris and me just big eyes and say, ooh.
Okay. Yeah, and that in that way, you guys can kind of maybe hear that we have a bit of a coherent vision here for the set, and that's going to be, I think, one of the biggest, differences between the Accorlands. I don't want to say the Accorlands was a throwaway set. We love it. It's our beautiful first child. We think it was good, but it was like our first thing, and now, okay, we've seen that we can do this, but now how do we do this, continue to improve, and how do we continue to how do we make sets have a stronger identity, and how do we do that for multiple sets in a row? And I think we're pleased with what we came up with, and I think it'll be absolutely a great set, but I think it'll be a great 2 sets, because again, the next set after that's going to be in Barriston as well, and we feel like it'll bring everything together really well too. So
Same mechanics.
Same mechanics, slightly different story. Obviously, Guilds at War is a different a different vibe than like just showing up and seeing the guild city. Now something else is going on, obviously.
Yep.
But we like that for Warlord. Warlord is the game. Yeah. Warlord is a game that's about war, but like we don't think we can sustain an audience on all-out warfare, full-scale warfare all the time. We think thematically it'll get boring, so we like zooming in on these little, small areas and telling these smaller stories, but you can still create conflict there, including between all 6 factions. Give them a reason to have conflict, and that's what we're going to do.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff.
It's very exciting. We're pumped. And so that sort of thing where you're seeing like a zoomed in conflict, that's what you can expect to see for
Moving forward,
like group designs moving forward. So like set 4, 5, 6 has a different theme structure that you attribute to that.
Yeah, and it's in a different location. It's still in the Accorlands, but it's in a different location, telling a completely different story. And we'll kind of hover there, telling that story for 3 sets, and then the plan is to move on to the next location after that.
Awesome stuff. Sounds good.
It's exciting.
I think we're ready to start moving towards the closing thoughts here. So I know
I just doubled the interview time. Sorry.
No, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, more communication is not a bad thing. Don't worry.
Sure.
All good.
Yep.
When it comes down to exactly. So the question that I had, it's already kind of been touched upon, because it's, the thing that we have written down on the script here to pull back the curtain is, what are you personally most excited for over the next few months? There's been so many exciting things that we've kind of touched on. So I think we really need to hone in on the personally part here. So like, of all these new things that we've discussed in this conversation, what is the one thing that you are most excited to see come to fruition? Start with you, Josh, since Woodrow talked a lot.
Yep.
Yeah, for 20 minutes. Yeah. I'm gonna say Alliance X. I'm super pumped for Alliance to kind of get kicked off. I think it's a different format than like Alliance isn't for you and Seb. Like it's not a format for you guys. Not that you won't play it. It's a format for newer players, for casual players, for people that are sitting around their kitchen table doing stuff. They just want to, that have a larger family and want to sit at home and jam games with their family, and they don't want to go do the Overlord, Dragonlord grind necessarily. And then it's for the people who want to do both. But it's not your competitive player format necessarily. It's a lot more casual. But it happens to be pretty much the favorite thing for our development team to do, because our development team is a group of guys who hang out and play games together, and so they love that sort of aspect of Alliance. They have a great time with it, and so I'm excited for that stuff to come. That's been in the works, and you know to a large percentage of completion for like a year. So we're very excited for that to just be so close to almost across the finish line. And even with that, like I've built. There's another article, like he mentioned one article. There's another article that'll be coming out soon about Alliance in general and Alliance decks and what you can do right now for Alliance before those come out with just the easily accessible cards in Box of Greed and into the Borderlands. There'll be decks at GenCon. If you're going to be there, that if you don't have an Alliance deck, there'll be decks you can borrow from from the library that are mostly Box of Greed and into the Borderlands cards that make just fine decks. And it's a great time. It's a social game. It's a very different play pattern, play style, but with the same mechanics. Like we were saying earlier about PvE and challenges. There's so many things you can do with these mechanics that are like almost a different game, but you use the same mechanics. So super pumped about Alliance kicking off.
I'm excited that also doubles as agent support too. So I'm very
Yeah.
happy.
Yes,
Yeah, I
I
mean,
am as well.
So it might be a
Yeah.
little for me there.
all those
Yeah,
comments
for
are
sure.
just like, yeah, okay, that's not for me. But it is for people. There are people that exist. It just happens to not be everybody, and that we always have to recognize that. So just like yeah, that's true.
What about you, Woodrow?
Same question to me.
Keep it under 5 hours.
Under 5 hours. I'm excited for Muerta, one of the warlords in set 2. She's really simple. She's the uncommon warlord for the Whisper guild, and I just like her ability. I'm excited for people to play her, and I'm excited for that kind of play pattern. I'm also really excited for the cards because they look really cool, because they all have watermarks for the guild. Even if something isn't technically even a classes card will have some type of guild watermark in the text box, and they look great on foils. Like again, if you saw the Team Covenant foil where it had like their logo in the as a watermark, the same thing is true for Barrackston, and it just looks cool. It gives it a different vibe, and it's just fun to I don't know. It's visually it's appealing, and it tells you what type of card you're playing. Even just at a glance. And I'm excited for. I really like the Whisper Guild. I think they're doing something cool. I think I think Assassination's fun. Basically,
They're really fun thematically.
yeah.
I think all of us kind of as a group like came up with all the concepts, and it was like we were all in agreement about all of the things that were happening. Someone would say something and be like,
For
what if they
Whisper.
did this? And we're like, oh yeah. I think we were all
Sure.
someone's like, oh, what about Whisper Name? And we're like, yes, that's fantastic. Oh, what about Porcelain Masks? Yes, that's fantastic. And so like every single piece of that came together, all of the kind of like things we thought of, everyone was like, yes. So I think we're all pretty pumped about
Now we way more
what
hyped.
they are. Yeah.
Magical assassins. They're and vibe wise, they're kind of like faceless men type thing from Game of Thrones or something. Like very mysterious. You don't even there's no way for you to know they're coming after you until it's too late type of thing. And they're complete discretion, silent killers, magic and steel. Like I don't know, they're just cool.
Or they
and I like
whisper the name. They don't
Muerta.
scream the name.
Well, so
That's what the bounty
the thing
people
with
are
that,
for.
yeah, exactly, yeah. The bounties are marking you for hunt, but the whisperer name is, it's actually, I think, you going in. So let's say you want to put a hit out on me, you would go in and go, you'd put down your gold and you go, and then they would take, their hand would reach out, grab it, pull it back into the darkness, and then nothing would be said after that. And then their job is to kill, whoever you said. You whispered a name, and that name has a bounty counter on it. So, and then their stuff is better.
I mean, they're the kind of the central thing of the Patreon story that'll be out in a couple weeks for public. It's out right now for patrons, but it was this week's story, and there's a whisper person in it, and the mask just kind of like melts, away, and it's pretty cool. They're pretty pumped.
It's a good story. Yeah.
So, for everybody who don't know, their Patreon, it will be probably in the description. I'll put it down. So if you want to see the stories and hear that one, it's a good thing to catch that up. Well, time-wise, yeah, we hit. Well, I think we're in a good slot with 1 hour and 30 minutes. So I would go for the last question, and we heard a lot, and we loved it, to be honest. And is there anything you would like to share with the community that neither me or Chris yet have asked for? Is there something that you want to give us out? Yeah.
Thank you. We just want to say thank you. I almost guarantee that's what Joshua would have said as well. Thank you for your patience. Thank you for your engagement. There are a ton of other TCGs out there. We are absolutely inundated. Team Covenant did a video the other day about like TCG fatigue. We all see it. If you're in the space, you see that there's, a new $10 million Kickstarter every month. There's a new really exciting IP that already has a giant fan base. There's a new content creator that has taken their, homebrew world and created a TCG out of it. Sports TCGs. It's just everything is happening. Children's cartoons. There's so much in this space. And we have this tiny little IP that is insignificant by comparison, but we have these amazing people who are engaging with it, and we're just shocked that it's happening in the first place. We're shocked at everybody's perseverance through the difficulties in manufacturing and communication, which some of that was kind of like that was going downstream, right? We were not getting communicated to from the factory, so then we were just passing the buck on that, which is, whether it was right or wrong, that's what happened. And it was just a tough time for everybody in that holding pattern, but we're excited to, get to a regular release schedule, and we are just grateful to everybody who is a current Warlord player or current Warlord, somebody interested enough to watch this interview. Thank you to you. You guys are the real ones. Maybe in 5 years' time we've grown or shrunk or whatever's happened. But you guys were the ones who were here with us from the beginning, and that's awesome. And we're grateful for you, and we look forward to continuing to do right by this game and improve, and also improve the situation for people in Europe, even in the US. Now SCGCon, we have a lot of stuff on the horizon. We think the game is starting to get some momentum, and it wouldn't have if everyone had said, the card stock's not great. Let's call it quits, or they were slow about the release schedule. Let's call it quits. But that hasn't happened, and that's amazing. And so thank you. That's really all I can think of to say.
Yeah, that's a good one. I'll add an extra special thank you to all of the game stores specifically that have taken a chance on Warlord. This
What
game
are they
could
thinking?
not. Yeah, I know. This game cannot survive without game stores and people playing Warlord in their stores. It just does not work. We knew that from the get-go. Especially with our organized play structure, it is extremely important that we have game stores be a part of it. And we are so blessed to have quite literally hundreds of stores all over the world that have signed up to do things with Warlord, that are hosting events for Warlord. It's there's a store tracker on the website where you can see everybody who's signed up for organized play, and so it's hard for us to convey to people that are like, clustered in their own little places. Like, oh, I had like there's 6 people that play in my area. Yeah, there's 6 people that play in your area, and over here, and over there, and over there. And it's the stores that are running that and making that go every single week are just
Yep.
huge thank you to you, because it's
And volunteers,
really
like players.
yes, the player volunteers that are helping make that happen.
Yep.
Big thank you.
And it's not for nothing. Some of the stores, my local store, I don't attend hardly. We have a weekly Warlord game. I attend maybe once a month, but they have
Time
sold
thing.
more. They because I'm busy, but they have sold more Warlord in the last 3 months than Pokemon and Magic combined. So it really does work for some stores. It just depends, but it's one of those things where a lot of times your patrons will sort of match the energy of the store. But Warlord has legs. It still has legs. That's showing up in my local area. But I think sales are doing pretty well. I mean, we just see constantly distributors coming back and saying, well, we need X 100 more boxes, or, retailers going in through Fulfilled and ordering from us directly. We need a ton more boxes. Can you increase our case limit for our monthly case limit? We need more cases. It's cool to see. And so, yeah, we're grateful for, where
Singles.
we are.
Everybody
humbling.
who's selling singles. That's very positive for the game. So
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I just have that's all I would say that we didn't say before is thank you.
Well,
and thank you to you guys too for interviewing us. It's been a long
yeah,
time.
yeah. Thank
It's
you.
been a couple of 2-3 years.
Yeah, that's true. But we have to thank you as well for taking your time, because we have heard you really busy, and it's 1 week before GenCon, so you're way more busy than the rest of the year.
5 days.
Sure.
Yeah.
I leave in 5 days.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's
You
true.
better get your plane ticket, Seb.
It's a little bit late now. Like I said, I will return. I will return to GenCon. I can tell you that
Well,
one.
we're waiting for you, and my kids are waiting as well.
Oh yeah, I love them both. They're great.
For sure.
Yeah, and I hope to
And
see
more.
you. Yeah,
We need more German candy. We need more of those Haribos and
Oh, I
Warzers
will
that we
bring.
can't
I will
get-
bring. Yeah,
can't
yeah.
get here.
I will bring.
Just bring some rouladen. I'll eat it. I don't care if it's
Yes.
cold.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
call
3
that
days
German
old and
candy.
I have an air fryer. We'll warm it up.
So, I hope one day I will see you here at Cohit. In the past, it was the biggest European Warlord event. We have to build the base, and then maybe one time I welcome you here on this side of the ditch. So, but
we'll make it over there.
First of all, thank you for sharing the information, for taking your time. Thank you for my co-partner, Chris. Like always, a solid foundation of the community as well. And
you guys are like Mock and Macabre.
Yeah.
Who's Macabre? Come on now.
I will bring Chris a cap.
I gotta be Mac. Vac and Mac a little too close. Come on now.
That's true.
So I thank you from the bottom up. Thank you for all that one. I'm pretty sure the community will be hyped for this interview, and we gonna see us probably somewhere next time. Especially, I think some people at GenCon, and maybe online on the upcoming events for the World Championship in Ancient and Saga. We're looking forward to that one as well. So thank you. I will close the stream or the VOD, and thank you, everybody, for being here, and hope everybody enjoyed that one. We see us next time somewhere. See ya. We're out. Bye-bye.
Bye.